He looked focused.
Wait for it to actually do something.
Terry, you have your mic pointed up in the
Speaking of
air. No one knows
Kakashi.
what you're saying.
You said what?
Okay, there he is.
That's better. Yeah.
It should be live now.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right.
I think I have to get a new mic soon. My mic's been acting weird. Like everything's turned up for it too, and it's still acting weird.
No, you sound fine now. You just
Yeah.
far away
That's
from
what
it.
the Zabuza talk.
Well, normally I can have my mic like down here and it still be fine, but it's not doing that. Like I have to have it like right here.
Mm.
Gotta watch
All
out for
right.
them Diddy mics.
Terry is not amused by your joke.
Apparently not.
No.
But what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Almost in Full Color podcast number. I'm not keeping count. Welcome for all those first-time viewers and returning viewers. For those who don't know, I'm joined by Plucka Plucka, also known as Games, T the Best, known as Terry, and Yellow Squirrel, also known as Roger. Welcome, gentlemen. How are we doing today?
Good.
Pretty good.
I'm trying to figure out why this is not. Oh, it should be working. I think it's working.
Wait, are we live?
Yeah, it is live, but
Oh, okay. Oh, all right.
Mhm.
Well, it's been a while since we did one of these. A lot has happened in the gaming world, and we have reconvened to touch base on many of the topics at hand. We got quite a few of them, so let's just dive into kind of like a lighthearted one. But after looking at a lot of the layoffs and just games not performing well for many a reason, do you all feel like gaming should come together and consolidate, only kind of allowing like one FPS to come out here and there to allow the fan base to kind of enjoy and consume like one at a time? Or do you feel like it's survival of the fittest and that's how it should be?
I don't feel like they have to actually like consolidate or anything. I just feel like a lot of game companies, or I guess a lot of publishers, are pushing developers to all play the video game lottery, which is to make the next big live service title. So that's why you're just seeing like a lot of things fail, because there's just not enough room for everything. You know, especially when you already have like big players that's kind of already taking up the whole ecosystem or the whole player base really for live service games. Like, you're directly competing against those titles for playtime. Whereas like if you're, you know, making a single player game or something like that, like you're not really competing with anything. Like if you make a pretty good game or, you know, anything remotely interesting, like people can just step away and play it because they're like, oh, that's just like a break from what I normally do. Maybe invest 8 to 10, 14 hours into this game, beat it, you know, enjoyed it. It was a good game. And now I go right back to like, you know, whatever game it is that's taking up your normal daily grind or whatever. So it's just easy to step away, go back. Whereas if you're trying to do a live service game like a Concord or anything like that, it's going to be like you are basically trying to get me to replace what I'm currently invested in, which at this point, most people have invested years of their life into most of these pre-existing games. And you really just don't have enough time to juggle 2-3 live service games. Like, it's just not going to happen. You're normally only going to play one, maybe two max. So it just kind of, you know, like I said, you're just playing a video game lottery. You're hoping something happens, but the chance is just so small of them being successful. But I guess the reward is so high, but the risk is so high too. But I guess the reward is just really tempting. I guess it's like when we, or I don't know about any of y'all, but I know when like I bet on football games and stuff, and you look at like those 15 leg parlays, like, you know, like the chances of that hitting is like little to none. But when you look at like that $5 turn into like 3,000, you're like, it's worth it. But I guess in this case, video game companies are betting like 200 million. So it's a pretty big different scale, but you gotta see what I'm saying. So maybe they just make different games. It seems like, you know, other games do well, but they just, I don't know, they just really want to push that live service for right now.
Yeah, and I'm about to say all what Gain said is pretty much true. And it's like any other item, it's just competition trying to take players from one game to your game. And that's difficult. I mean, we see that with everything else too. I'll just pick on social media. We saw threads come out from Meta. I don't really, I mean, some people use threads, but they locked into their social media game. So it's same with these live service. Like you have to do a lot to get someone off of that. And we're just kind of focused on the games we like or the series we like and waiting for the next big thing, but we're probably not having enough variety. As Gaines hint, there's a lot of live service games coming out, so it's like, oh, I have to buy a battle pass. Usually, they're called a battle pass, and I have to buy this and this if I want to get
Yeah.
into this game. So now, am I really going to focus on this? I'll give it a try, but I'm not going to spend much, and I'll go back to the one I invested my
And
$400 already into.
yeah, the crazy part is that it's even harder for them to be successful now because the term live service has become like so toxic in the gaming community that as soon as you hear it's live service, like people already shun it. So it was already difficult enough to make a great like make one that really landed. Now it's like almost impossible because nobody, people are so against it that they won't even give it a chance. So like if it was difficult before, it's probably 10 times as difficult now to make one that actually works. And kind of like what Roger said, not only do you guys steal the players away from their game, you guys steal the player and their friends away from the game. Because like if I like a live service game, but all y'all still want to play Destiny, like I'm not gonna continue playing that live service game. I'm gonna come back to Destiny because I don't have nobody to play with. So it's like you gotta steal the whole fire team just to get your game to succeed. It's like it's just so much against it. I don't know why they keep rolling the dice, but they do.
Yeah. Plus, you have to convince everybody to do the same thing. Like you're like, okay, well, we're all gonna downsize into this one big FPS and do one every 3 months, whatever the case is. Yeah, you good luck trying to convince somebody to do that. Especially if somebody else is making more money than the other person, and they're like, I'm not gonna wait for you. I can put this out now, and I'll make way more. That's not gonna happen.
Mm.
You're not gonna have enough people to play a game like that. Maybe if you put them all underneath one studio, like how Activision did for Call of Duty, where like you all are making Call of Duty and you're making once a year, you can probably do that. But I mean, we saw what happened to Activate. Well, that's more something different than what happened to them. So,
Yeah.
but I mean, like you saw, Call of Duty is always the number one title of the Christmas time frame. Everybody wants it at the time. And then 3-4 months later, everybody's like, all right, I'm done with Call of Duty. So it's like you would have to convince so many big players to be like, all right, let's do this. I go first, then you. Well, then why can't I go first? You'll just have bickering back and forth, and it's just not going to get anywhere. So it's fine the way it is now. People are going to put out a title. People are going to play it for a little bit. Then they're going to go do something else, like Outraider. What was that freaking called?
Oh,
Outriders?
Outriders.
Yeah.
The Square Enix game. That was actually pretty good.
Yeah, it was at a good time. It was like Destiny wasn't doing anything, and Destiny was the big hitter that everybody was trying to beat. Then they're like, all right, we're just gonna put this game out. They didn't think it was gonna
The
do
crazy
very
part
well.
was though that like Outriders wasn't even live service.
Nope.
It was like it wasn't really built to be one, and then it like got so successful that they were just like,
People were mad that it wasn't one.
Yep.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
they were
That
like,
was
well,
like
we're not doing nothing for it.
dark. Yeah, and it was too late. Like kind of like with Power World. Like it got so popular, but they weren't ready to capitalize on the player base, like on their attention. So then they lost the attention, and now by the time I don't even know what Power is doing now, but
They're still in
if any
beta.
content comes
Beta.
out,
Early
Yeah.
access, I mean.
but I mean, is anyone playing it still?
No,
don't even hear
there's
about it
people.
anymore.
They got a lot of updates coming out. They like added a new boss and stuff, but
No, I mean their player base. Like, I'm not talking
No.
about them
It's
adding
still-
I mean,
content.
the CEO even came out and was like, please guys, come back and play our game now that we've done this to it.
That's what I mean. They invested more money into the game, and by that time, it's like everyone's gone. Like getting people's attention is a small window, and it's too small to develop in that same window. Like if you're not ready to roll or even close, you're probably just going to be too late by the time you're ready to actually push out more content.
Yeah, especially for survival games like that. Because I mean, you hit a peak and you're just like, okay, it probably would have been better. Well, we only experienced it from the Xbox side of things, where it was like really bad to get on a server with everybody. It probably might have been different if we did it from Steam, not having to worry about somebody else hosting this, or not having to worry for one of us to be on, where we can just have somebody else host the server for us.
Oh, they still get like 25,000
Yeah, but I mean
That's
that's
pretty
compared
good.
to
players.
like
That's
what it was.
well, they were at
before.
2 million on their peak.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
like coming down to what their actual player base is. They probably do have a few people that are still like on it every single day, but not now. They had their time. They did what they did with it. They got the money that they wanted out of it, and then now it's like let's continue to try to do better. But it's like everybody's on to something else. We're on to the next thing now. So
Yeah, I no. Look down for 2 seconds. The games is gone. Yeah, I feel like games try to kind of dodge each other in a way. I know like Street Fighter, Tekken, and Mortal Kombat kind of all kind of spoke about what windows they were gonna drop in, so they all didn't like overlap with each other. So some games do try, it's just other ones that do try to take on Goliath, and they do put out good games, but then they end up not seeing that success that they probably would have if they came out at any other point in time. So I know Sony typically, they'll, hey, Ratchet and Clank, y'all gonna come out here. Hey, this game. So I know a lot of them try to kind of find the real good pockets to fall underneath, but then someone's gonna try to come out next to like, Call of Duty or something like that, and just it's well, they'll come out too
Call
close
of
to it.
Duty,
They'll think that they're out the
nobody
way,
comes
but
out with Call of
you're
Duty.
not out the way. It's like,
It's
oh,
like
we'll drop in like December, close to Christmas. It's like, yeah, it's still too close. People gonna
it's
be
just like
buying Call of
nobody's gonna
Duty for
launch with
Christmas
the
gifts.
iPhone. You don't see
Yeah,
nobody launch alongside the iPhone. Like
yeah,
you crazy. It's like you
yeah.
just
You
don't
just
do
get
that.
out the way. So I
You
mean,
just wait your turn.
yeah, well, I feel like it's something that they probably all should begin to do with all these layoffs and stuff that are occurring. I know they kind of loosely do it now, but to just a little bit, more concerted effort to say, all right, like, hey, we'll drop here and we'll drop here. You see a lot of cannibalization happening. We'll probably see with Overwatch 2 pretty soon, I'm guessing, with the way that Marvel Rivals is like kind of taking off and how it's picking up steam. And it seems like Overwatch 2 which is weird because you can see like all the ripoff that Marvel Rivals has done, but it's just got the name and the IP behind it to say like, yeah, nah, move over Overwatch. Like we're gonna just muscle you out right here, right now, and we got money to market, all this good stuff, and whatever it seems with Activision games, or Blizzard. That's Blizzard side, right?
that's Blizzard.
Yeah, Blizzard.
Overwatch,
Yeah. So for whatever reason, it just seems like the marketing budget for like all Blizzard stuff just went straight to Call of Duty. It's like, you know what? Nah.
Well, their own player base didn't like what they did with Overwatch 2, so
Well, yeah.
people were very
changed.
unhappy with how they changed Overwatch into Overwatch 2, and basically
and I would
tried
say
to
they
make
already
it like
canceled
Major League
features
Gaming
of the game.
or esport, I guess. Now is the term for it.
Overwatch was always designated to be an esport. It was more so they decided to make Overwatch 2. They marketed Overwatch 2 to be a story-based game. That's what it originally was.
Yeah, that's what I
supposed to
mean.
be.
But then they went back on all of it. They were like, yeah, like none of that stuff is happening.
Yeah, they scrapped it within the first few months.
Yeah. So it kind of like not killed the game, but
I don't
put
know
a
if
major
Overwatch-
black eye on it.
Overwatch League isn't even a thing anymore. It might be.
No.
Yeah, it just finished.
I think they're done now.
Yeah.
I forget what the like top team was, but they put out like a little tribute thing to all the people who supported them, and yeah.
Dang.
I mean, I know the
Yeah.
scene is huge in Korea still. Like the whole, actually, all those like scenes are still huge
Yeah.
in Korea. So that, I mean, most of their players were Korean anyway.
Mhm.
So except for maybe like 3 or 4 teams worth, but majority of them were Koreans though.
But with all this talk on devs and if they should try to release in different windows from one another, these type of things put dev teams in hot seats, and a dev team that is on a hot seat currently is none other than Bungie. I don't think I really want to go into all of the storied ridiculousness that is the drama of Bungie currently, but it seems that they are at an impasse right now. And currently, the game Marathon that they're currently working on, which is supposed to be their new big IP, is somewhat rumored to be not very well received by those who have already got an inside peek at it. With that being said, given all the drama with Destiny, given all the things that have happened with Bungie, Sony coming in and kind of telling them that, hey, you guys are not treating this like a business, and that's at the end of the day what this is, or at least a good part of this is business, and you're just kind of messing it all up. If Marathon looks like a dud, should they still release it, even if they are, a year out from putting it out, or do you feel like they should just can it and call it a day?
Well, it's weird because they decided to grab Destiny people thinking it should cater to them. I don't think that was correct. Like, you don't grab, like, especially if you're going away from what Destiny was to now go to what Marathon is, which is it still an extraction shooter, or has that changed?
It's still an
It's supposed to be an
shooter.
extraction shooter. I don't know if they've
It's
changed
not hero based anymore. It's class based.
Okay. Yeah, so it's like you try to appeal to Destiny people that are doing, like, whatever Destiny is right now, instead of going out to people that have done either extraction shooters or MOBAs or whatever the case ends up being. Like, you're not going to get the right feedback back from them. Now, unless they did kind of go back out and get other people after that, maybe it might be different. But I'm pretty sure the last I heard, they grabbed a bunch of Destiny people, told them to come try out the game, and then they got terrible feedback. So it's like, you can't really go by that, I guess. You would have to probably go out to the people that it's catered to and go from there. Now, whether you scrap it or not, I don't think you go the route of, what's that other game that just got scrapped after a week?
Concord,
yeah. You probably give it some time after how much you've done to it, and just go out with release, especially with how close you are. And then hopefully the tweaks you make after that is enough. But I think what they did and went out for play testers was probably the incorrect way of doing it. You just don't get Destiny players for that kind of game.
Yeah, and I was about to say, for scrapping, I was about to say they probably invested too much money now, where it's like you kind of have to probably release it and just recruit something, because if you scrap it, I'm sure they already in the millions for it. So it's like, we just need some money there. So I think they're just going to release it anyways, and maybe they'll change their marketing. Who knows? But I was about to say, I don't think they'll scrap it.
Yeah, nah. I mean, kind of like what Roger said. Like, at this point, you put so much money into it, like, you gotta put it out and just kind of see what happens. Because if you don't put it out, you just lost a ton of money developing this game. So, I mean, at this point, I don't think it's going to succeed. I mean, kind of like what we were talking about earlier with the live service games. Like, this game, basically the whole Bungie or Destiny community is against it because they feel like that game kind of killed Destiny, or basically leached from Destiny so much that kind of put Destiny in a bind. Whereas, if the studio of Bungie was just focusing on making Destiny the best game it could be, instead of trying to launch all these different IPs at the same time, using the money that Destiny was bringing in, everyone feels like Destiny would be in a way better place than what it is currently. So I don't feel like it's going to succeed just because people already are going to be against it. And we all know how the YouTube thing goes, how the the game media spin goes. Like, once that thing gets branded as like we all hate it, then everybody's going to hate it. So, and that's going to become the thing. Everyone's going to ride that train and destroy it. I wouldn't be surprised if it gets the Suicide Squad treatment, where pretty much like before that thing even launched, like everyone was just talking about how horrible of a game it was. And in all honesty, it wasn't a bad game. It just wasn't what people wanted. So then by default, they decided it was a bad game. But I mean, it was what it was. So I don't see it succeeding, but I do see them releasing it. And I don't know what's going to come of that. It's not going to be good, though. It's definitely not going to be good.
I hope they do a beta. I want to try it. I'm gonna still.
Oh, they'll definitely probably put it out for like a little beta or whatever, like some type of closed public or closed beta than a public beta. I'm sure they probably will do that, but I don't think they're going to get a good reception or any type of good feedback from it. And with Destiny being so far out for new content, like, yeah, it's gonna be rough. Like, it's definitely gonna have a ripple effect towards Destiny too.
Well, I think they just need to do like stop caring about like your Destiny player base for that game, just because it's not going to appeal to them.
Yeah, but they're gonna be the ones riding the train of how bad the game is. So it could be hard getting new
Probably.
players when all you hear is that the game sucks.
Well, that's why you have to
So
go out for other influencers like that don't have like a Destiny stake, like people that actually kind of play games like this, like people like from Rainbow Six or from Overwatch or, I mean, even Call of Duty. Like they're probably gonna go out and try and get as big as influencers as possible to try the game out, and then kind of rock it from there. Just like not to have Destiny's name to it, because I think if you try to get anybody from the Destiny community itself, it's just not gonna go well, especially people that aren't really trying it. But it does seem like a lot of the games are starting to go into like this MOBA hero aspect now. So I guess
yeah,
we'll see if they're like either too early, too late, or just like right at the right time. Because I mean, I think everybody right now is playing. Can't think of the name of it. Damn it, I'm gonna figure it out.
The Among Us game.
Something else.
Yeah.
Deadlock. Deadlock is starting to kind of pick up right now, and Deadlock seems to be one of those MOBA shooters like Overwatch is. So if this ends up being somewhere around that area, maybe take over Rainbow Six used to do, or Rainbow Six Siege, or what was it? Yeah, Rainbow Six
Siege,
I think.
yeah.
yeah.
So I don't know. It could either be in the right time or it could not be in the right time. Who knows? I guess we'll know once they do a beta for it or alpha or whatever they decide.
If they decide to drop a beta, I think that would actually be promising. I think if it's a dud and everyone is like, yeah, this probably is not going to hit, you just don't put out the beta, especially you're just trying to get as much money as possible before it dies on you. Just put it out, get your sales going, and then just get out of Dodge. And
They're charging 40 for it, so
yeah, then you
it's
just
not
charge
free to play,
40.
it's gonna be
So
40.
yeah, I don't know what all will come with that, if it's season oriented or
Yeah, it's
Right,
supposed to be
see,
live service.
we've seen how Destiny
oh,
does
okay.
with service. Or
That's what I mean. Like the content's already dry for Destiny right now. So I mean, that's what I mean. When this come out, like I don't see how they're going to be able to juggle two of them. They had a hard enough time keeping content rolling for Destiny. So
I think Sony is supplementing most of that right now. Now, how much of that Sony is supplementing?
it's not always a good thing when you got somebody coming in that wasn't part of the development the whole time.
Or it could
those
be
changes.
because the way Sony was
Sometimes those
talking, it's
changes
like
are hard to
y'all
make,
are,
though.
yeah.
'Cause it's like,
It could be a blessing, it could be a curse. I don't know. It just, but in the event that Marathon doesn't hit, then it's kind of like, all right, this is not working out. The Destiny scene is getting somewhat. I don't know that if they come out and say that there's a Destiny 3, if they're able to get their community back together or not. But if Marathon is just done, dead on arrival, do you think Sony should basically can Bungie and move them, or do you feel like their name does have prestige in the marketplace and that it should be salvaged, or should they just let it die?
So I mean, they
I don't see them getting rid of Bungie. Yeah, I don't see them getting rid of Bungie. I just see them probably making them just forego the whole Marathon plan, because Sony apparently didn't even want them to continue on Marathon, and apparently Bungie had to like go on bended knee to like beg to keep the ability to keep developing for that and actually push that out. Apparently Sony just wanted them to axe everything and just focus strictly on Destiny 2. Which, I mean, I guess in Sony's eyes, they're like, hey, as long as y'all can put stuff out for that game, like that game's going to bring in money. So I don't see them getting rid of Bungie. If anything, I just see them turning them back into what they wanted to do, was just say, y'all are basically Destiny and that's it. You know, kind of like how when Microsoft had them, they were like, y'all just do Halo. Like, you know, to make other things. You know, so I feel like that's what's going to happen again, is they're just going to be just straight Destiny 2 and just keep making content for that. And maybe one day might roll it into a Destiny 3, but
I think they would have to. They would probably have to get over it.
They just can't announce it now because Destiny 3 would be like 6-7 years off.
Yeah. But I mean, like,
So
they
you
would
would
have to
still
probably get away from Destiny 2, just because, like, if you think of everything that happens with Destiny 2, you think of all the layoffs that came with it, even though it did so well in different, like, not seasons,
but that's because it
DLC.
was freaking funding all the other things they were doing. I mean, it's kind of hard to have like a successful game when you got that game funding like 5 other games,
Yeah.
plus funding like all this expansion of buildings they were doing and all this stuff. Like that just shows you like what kind of cash cow Destiny 2 was.
Don't forget the
That
cars.
one game,
Yeah,
yeah, in the cars. That one game was like literally just like printing money for them.
Yeah.
But they
So,
just spun so much that it was just like it couldn't keep up. So Sony's probably looking at it like, hey, well, if y'all just cut all that stuff off, and if you were doing nothing but Destiny 2, like that thing would have just been generating money like crazy every year. But like you overstretched, and now that's why you're here. Look what it brought you back to
I
me.
just think they would have to get away from Destiny 2, just because of everything that it came with now. Like, now it used to be the biggest thing, and now it's like marred by like all the terrible things that have happened.
Whoever wrote that contract for Sony to get Bungie, that dude's probably walking around like a king. He's like, I told you they'd fall for it. I told you they'd be ours. Like, you were right. We own them now. They didn't take long at all. Think of that. They bought them like, what, a year ago? And now they own them. Well, they didn't even buy them. They bought their,
That was,
their
whatever.
knowledge.
It was just
They bought
They
their
bought them because part of
compensation.
the deal and why it was evaluated as so much was, you guys will keep doing your thing and we'll let you rock out, but you're going to help these other dev teams make the live service games that we got in
They
the
didn't do
tuck.
nothing but just ask them.
Yeah,
Bungie
so-
just came in and was like, no, you don't want to do that. No, you don't want to do that.
yeah.
And come to find out, I was like, y'all can't make nothing but Destiny.
Yeah. News of the PS5 Pro has been announced, and we saw a lot of the games that we've already seen, and they've been showing off in what we believe to be a better capacity than what's currently available on the PS5. With that being said, Roger, how do you feel about the PS5 Pro? Is it everything that you ever wanted and more?
seems very
No, my reaction was we were promised stuff for the PS5. I remember when we talked about it. Good gosh, back when it was released, and I was over here like 4K 120. That sounds impossible. I think we were on the 3090 then, and it was like that can't even do 4K 120. And then come to find out, most games struggle hitting 60. I don't even know if it's 180 60 still at this point. I don't even know the 4K. Because I don't have 4K TV for it. But now it's like we're just getting the same promise again. So it's like weird, like, hey, this is all the stuff we promised for the PS5 now in the Pro, and here's $200 more. So now it's
no, Roger, no, $300 more.
Oh, if you get the disc,
because it's the digital.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You're not getting one with a disc drive. So most people look at it from the price point of the physical and they think, oh, it's 200 more. No, like they literally took the form factor of the digital, which was 400, and said, no, it's 700 now. They almost doubled it.
And then I know Digital Foundry was talking about, I guess it's using the same CPU as the PS5. It sounds like they just upgraded.
Yeah, the CPU
GPU.
is a very minimal upgrade.
Okay.
So it's like very, very small, and the GPU is the bigger upgrade. But they were just saying like it just depends on the game, like because some games are a little more like CPU intensive than GPU intensive, so they're just like basically they're leveraging PSSR. That's supposed to just be the thing. So I don't know.
And speaking of CPU heavy, Destiny's a very CPU heavy game on PC. I don't know if it does the same on PlayStation, but imagine it can't be too far off. So that some things are still going to struggle. But yeah, it just felt like I was like flashed back to the first announcement. It was like, oh, your games will be over 60 FPS. I was like, thought they were supposed to be at 120. And why are we talking 60? So overall, it was not exciting to me. It was just like, well, Gain said $300 more. And I feel like the first party exclusives is going to take advantage of it. But that's a note that was there too. They have to be like optimized for PS5 Pro don't know kind of what that means, but I know all the first party games probably will get it, but who knows about the third party? So not too
Mhm.
excited. Was just a price point. I didn't buy the PS4 Pro either, so I never was big into the Pro series to begin with. So there was a bias there too.
Yeah, I feel like I think I don't know. I think that with the whole PS4 Pro thing, I think they just wanted to replicate it with the 5, and they were just like that was a way for us to like sell more consoles and sell it at a different strategy, because normally they sell their next console of the same generation is usually just like a slim model. So it's like, hey, it's a little bit cheaper. It's because we slim it down, whatever. And then they found out, oh, with the PS4 Pro, we was able to not only do a PS4 Slim, but then we was also able to do a PS4 Pro. So we was able to like basically turn our original console into two different branches, to target even more people. And I think they kind of still wanted to do that, but I just don't feel like they didn't have anything in the pipeline to actually like show why you needed one. Like, and not their fault, but you couldn't really tell the difference in much of what they were showing. And then everything they were showing were games they've already had out on the market. So it's like most people already played those games at 60 FPS, which they said in their own presentation was like, yeah, we found out like 3/4 of everyone picked performance. So, you already played this game in 60 FPS. Here's a way to play it at 60 FPS again, but a little closer to fidelity graphics, which I mean, I guess that's nice, but nobody's gonna pay $700-800 to go back and play the same games they've already beat, especially since Sony really only makes single player games. Like, there's no real reason to go back to any of those titles and replay them. So I don't know. Like, I don't really know how they're gonna move this console because it doesn't really have a point, and you're still gonna be able to do 60 FPS on the PS5 on the regular one. Just be a little, I guess, less graphics or whatever. But I mean, clearly people already didn't care because they didn't pick 30 FPS and better graphics over 60 FPS in performance. So that already shows you that people found out that they preferred 60 FPS even at a lower resolution, and had a smoother gameplay. So I don't think people are going to spend $700-800 just to have a slightly prettier picture but still get 60 FPS, because they didn't really talk anything about 120. So I think they kind of moving away from that, or don't want to talk much about it, even though they did mention 8K again. So I don't know what's going on with that, but it just seems like that thing really doesn't have a home. Like, it doesn't really, I don't know. Maybe they'll sell it, but I seriously doubt that console is going to move.
That console's not gonna do anything. After people probably got burned from the PS4 Pro, they're probably not gonna even try and buy this.
Well, the PS4 Pro actually, like, at least you got to push 4K.
No.
Like, I mean, it was a better upgrade than the PS4 base.
Lies.
So like this one is, I mean, I guess it depends how good PSSR turns out to be, because nobody really knows how good it's going to be until you actually get your hands on it. But I don't know. I feel like the worst thing they could have done was release it without a disc drive.
Yeah, that's probably.
It was like that. But I guess it just shows you what happens when those companies like get that huge lead in the marketplace. Like, they're pretty much just crushing Microsoft right now. And it seems like every time one of them starts crushing, they do something like this. They like really try to take advantage of their position and just try to give you something to really just take everything from the consumer base, and then they overstep, and then their consumer base pushes back, and then the other guy kind of steps forward, pretty much like what Microsoft did with the Xbox One. Like, they were killing with the 360, they went too far with the Xbox One, and then they let Sony jump right back in with the 4, and they just dominated that generation because Microsoft could never recoup from that. And then Microsoft shot themselves in the foot again this generation. And Sony just built a crazier lead. And now Sony was just like, there's no competition. Like, give them this. And now everybody's like, whoa, like, this is too much. I don't think Microsoft's going to do much with it, but this will be their one shot, like, to kind of
just Nintendo waiting. That's all you got.
Nintendo's going to dominate. They already said that their new console is only going to be $400. So it's only $50 more than their last generation, which people are going to like praise them for that. And then it's going to be fully backwards compatible with the Switch. Like they're going to eat. They probably partying right now.
Yeah, I don't even know what to think of the PS5 Pro. I mean, maybe it's just targeted people who are coming from the PlayStation 4, because apparently there are a lot of PlayStation 4s and Xbox One still just in rotation. So that's why a lot of the reports said Grand Theft Auto 6 was supposed to be married up with the PS5 Pro announcement to showcase kind of like that jump that's about to happen. Supposedly, it's like going to be one of the craziest things we've seen. I don't know. That's just what the report's saying, why they really wanted GTA 6 with this. But reports are Rocksteady or Rockstar doesn't want to show off GTA 6 right now. So Sony was just left with announcing it and going with it. But with the way that the Portal sold and how everyone felt the Portal was like the dumbest thing on earth, and then they just
Portal was only $200.
sold out so crazy, and I imagine even Sony was like, "Wait, what? We sold out? Oh, put more in rotation." And they sent out more, and then those sold out.
They say, "Oh, we sold out." Completely disregarded. Don't support it at all. They didn't release any. They don't even talk about it.
Yeah, they don't talk about it anymore.
They've never put out a firmware update since that thing has been out. I think they put out one because somebody found out like how to jailbreak it or something. So they put one out, but that was it. And that was the only reason they pushed it, was just for that, because the dude like literally turned it into Sony. He like found out how to jailbreak it, and he like submitted it to them as like one of those like bug bounty things or whatever.
And then the PS3 that they did that with.
Well, they
jailbroke it. You got like the golden PS3 or whatever, like the wild thing was.
Yeah, they did. They did. That was like his first launch. They said it was like bulletproof.
The golden age.
They said somebody actually ended up jailbreaking it though, but they was hush hush about it all, and they like kind of like gave the guy the shit behind the scenes. They just like, oh.
It was games that jailbroke it. Somebody was coming to hand him the golden PS3 he got. Is that what he's talking about? This thing? But moving on from there, we've got hold on. Well, Grand Theft Auto 6, gentlemen. Are you guys excited for what Grand Theft Auto 6 could be, and why is it that you think this title is just so coveted?
Nope. We're not getting into 2027. When they do another release of the trailer, I'm all for talking about it, but who knows when we'll get this game. Do you remember Kingdom Hearts 4? Remember Kingdom Hearts 4?
Oh yeah,
Grand Theft Auto is going the Kingdom Hearts 4 route, so
they said supposedly it's 2027. And they'll show more in late 2025, or no, it's supposed to be 2026, and they'll show more in 2025.
Yeah,
the same thing.
I was say it's funny you brought it up, because today was the 11th anniversary of GTA 5 coming out. So, and I think that's why, I mean, GTA 6 will always be hyped up. I mean, GTA 5 still up there on Twitch streams and still a game to play. They still release a bunch of content that's crazier and crazier every time. The heists are very serious. I remember joining one and didn't know much, and oh gosh, it was like joining a raid in an MMO. It was like, what are you doing here? I was like, I didn't realize we were this serious in here, but very coveted in the games. I mean, Rockstar, they made some bad games, but it's not, I mean, they have a really good track record. Anything they usually make. I was trying to even think of one bad game to name, and it drew a blank. I mean, I know I didn't like Bully, but people love that game.
People love that game.
Yeah, but it's
they made a race car game on the I think it was a Super Nintendo or the Nintendo.
I would say that sounds like one of the first ones they made.
It was like one of the very first games. You exploded anytime you touched the grass, so people hated that.
But I mean, they have a good track record.
Was so violent, but it was.
So I think everyone's gonna be excited. The trailer, I mean, looked crazy. That was a wild
Yeah.
trailer, but I'm waiting for gameplay.
Mhm.
Them trailers always look cool, but I'm always interested to see what it really looks like when we get it.
Yeah,
But
the
I
crazy
mean,
part is
count
like
it.
Rockstar usually delivers. So it's
Yeah,
like normally you see a crazy trailer, you're like, like we know what trailers do. But at the same time, you're like, Rockstar usually don't miss. Like when they like show you something crazy, like they usually always deliver, and you're just like, wow, like this is nuts.
You know, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
yeah.
At least Kingdom
And-
Hearts 4 had gameplay in their trailer.
So,
It's,
yeah.
you know what's crazy though is that Rockstar brought in all the people like who was behind like some of the biggest like role play
Mhm.
server things on GTA 5. Like they pretty much like hired them. So you know that GTA 6 online is going to be nuts.
What do you think the download size of that file is going to be?
Oh, crazy.
400
It's probably gonna
gigs.
be like
Is it
what'd you
400?
say?
400.
Make predictions.
That
see
might
if
be
we get
what
that
I mean.
launch.
Think about it. The PlayStation probably didn't push a 2 terabit hard drive for nothing.
Mm.
It'll probably be on.
Sony, Rockstar might have told him like, "Hey, we might be looking like Roger said, we might be looking at 400-500 gigs. Beef that thing up." So
Well, now that we got our PlayStation hate out the way, let's get our Xbox hate going. So, Xbox has been heavily scrutinized as of late. They've been letting go of very talented dev teams. Tango got picked up by, I think it's the publisher behind Tencent, or Tencent. It's like one of their like sub people or something like that. But they end up getting picked up. Thank God for them. But they put out, Hi-Fi Rush, for those who don't know. Great game. But Xbox has been having miss after miss, and as of late, it seems like people are not happy with Game Pass. They haven't got those big releases that they were accustomed to getting. Do you all feel like the acquisition of Activision is kind of at fault for why we're not seeing a lot of those kind of bigger titles that do come out throughout the year on that service? Or do you feel like this was always part of the course? It had to slow down at some point.
So I would say it's not so much that they didn't have big titles released. I would say that the titles that they had marked as big titles did not land. So it kind of looks like they didn't have anything like in the pipeline. But like if you think about it, pretty much almost every big game that Microsoft was pushing, it did not land as anything was supposed to be. Like Redfall, they were pushing that was supposed to be huge, like a big title for them, and it did horrible. Like it just was a very bad launch. Then Starfield had been pumped up for years, and I mean Starfield did okay, but it wasn't what it was supposed to be. So that was a huge blow for them. Halo Infinite was supposed to be huge for them. That didn't land. You know what I'm saying? So it seems like almost every title that was supposed to be big for them didn't turn out. So it looks like they didn't have games. Well, I guess technically you can say they didn't have games because the games didn't land and they weren't like what they were supposed to be. But their heavy hitters were there. They just didn't turn out good. So it is what it is, I guess. But now I guess obviously they're leaning on Call of Duty Black Ops 6, to really kind of push Game Pass, which I'm sure that's probably going to help them with subscriptions because, a lot of people probably will jump on board just to get access to Call of Duty Black Ops 6 for $20, whatever it's going to end up costing. So I'm sure that'll pump up subscriptions a little bit, but I don't know. I mean, over time, if they don't keep games, then yeah, they might end up starting to lose people, especially since now they're starting to further splinter the Game Pass subscription into like even more tiers. Like now you have a tier where it's like console only, but you don't get day ones. Then you have like console only, but you do get day ones too. Then you got PC Game Pass. So I guess there's going to be a PC Game Pass where you don't get day ones too, and then you're still going to have your like Ultimate Plus or whatever where you get PC Game Pass day one plus console day one. Like they're starting to splinter that plan into too many things because I don't even know what the point of making one without day one is. Like if you're having trouble moving it with day one promises, do you think people are going to sign on when there's like literally no timetable for when the day ones are going to come? They're like maybe a year, might be, a few months. Like, I don't know who came with that plan, but it's Microsoft right now. Like, they don't, as I told Roger a while ago, Microsoft doesn't really have any direction. They right now they're kind of lost because the game's like kind of splintered. Like, Nintendo did what they did, and I think that ruined Microsoft. Everybody was playing the game one way, and Microsoft was able to keep up. When Nintendo went left and they went to the Wii, it destroyed Microsoft because they didn't have any direction anymore. They had to do what like Sony was doing, which was play the graphic game, but then they also wanted to play we need a cheap console that does family type games with movement, and that became the Microsoft One, or Microsoft Xbox One with the Kinect. And then that's why we also got the Series S, because Nintendo sold the Switch. And it just so happens that the Series S and the Switch was like the same exact price point. Because they like the Microsoft was just terrible at any type of direction. So it just shows right now with all this stuff they're doing with Game Pass, like they don't really know what they're doing. So, and that's why they can't seem to buy a win right now, no matter how much they try to buy things to win.
Yeah, I was about to say the biggest games they always had for a while, which doesn't appeal to everybody, is the Forza series. Great series, but many people don't play racing games. So
yeah, racing games have really fell.
Yeah,
like, you just don't see them. Like, I don't know.
So that's like their biggest IP right now is the racing game. So it's like rough. I mean, I even know Sony with Gran Turismo. Like, I don't even know who plays that anymore.
That
so
didn't hit the way it used to hit. Like 7 was not. It didn't go well. People just don't like the race, I guess.
But yeah, so I don't know. I'm kind of used to it. Like, I don't have no expectations for the first party games, but I mean, I'm odd in the boat too. I like Game Pass because of the indie games. It seems like they get a lot of indie games on there. Probably a good deal for them developers just to be put on there. And with the Black Ops, I'm sure a lot of money went into that deal, so they don't have a lot of money to give out probably to a lot of things for Game Pass at the moment. So going to see what probably Black Ops does and see if we get other tiers. Maybe we'll get an Activision tier only and stuff like that if it's too big. Who knows? But I think it's more they're probably waiting and seeing and clearing up like, hey, Call of Duty's coming here. This is the game you want. So trying to get people to subscribe and just see how that goes.
Yeah, it's tough when your big games start to flop and you're just like, okay, well, this is what we wanted to bring people back for Game Pass, and it's not working. Like, nobody really wants to, if nobody's paying it when we're paying it, paying people paying to play the game. Now you have people trying to do it on Game Pass, and it's like, I don't care enough. So I think a lot of the games that they expected to bring people in is probably just not doing well, and now you're just dealing with the aftermath of like, okay, now what? So I'm pretty sure after a while they might figure it out. Maybe one of their games might actually do very well for people to want to actually pick up Game Pass or the game itself, which will probably end up having them get more games. But right now it's like they're focused on their indie games because that's what a lot of people end up wanting to come for anyway too. So we'll just have to wait and see until they actually get a game that actually does pretty decent. That's not Power World.
Early on, they had that actually is like a shining gem for Game Pass. But early on, you had Turtles. That Turtles was it Shredder's Revenge was there. Yeah. I mean, you got Outriders. There are like quite a few like just third party titles that really weren't linked to Xbox. That were dropping there, and I think like Roger was saying, there's so much money tied up in that acquisition or Activision deal that now that kind of well is a little bit dried up. I think also from that Outriders event where they were like, yo, if we put this out, even if we took in a fraction of those players, like we would have made so much money, but we took the deal. So we undervaluated like what we have. I think that probably turned a lot of developers like, yeah, let's like figure out like what we have before we even take any deal that they have to offer. I think that's what took so long for Sea of Stars to figure out like how they were going to allow it to be on Game Pass, because they took quite some time, and they saw what got Chrono Chrono Cross, or was it Chrono Cross? God, I cannot not remember the name of the game that was on there. But they too did the same exact thing. They put out that retro RPG looking game, and it went crazy with how many people played it. And then I think CSR is like, hold on, we're putting out like the same thing, and they did crazy numbers. So let's just try to figure out how we're gonna do this. I think now just a lot of devs kind of approach Game Pass with that. I think Xbox was like, well, we got, Hellblade 2 coming out, and people were like, what is this? This game is not what I thought it was gonna be. And you had all these just games that just weren't able to kind of carry that prestige over. I think still no one really truly knows how they're divvying up the money. Like this seems like Spotify to me all over. Like,
it's probably
how
like
y'all divvying this out?
It's probably like music deals. You probably just get a lot of upfront money.
Yeah.
I'm about to say, I
kinda
know that's how Epic was working. They just you have the developer like X number, and it didn't matter how many people download it. So I'm thinking it's pretty similar to like Gaines saying it's probably some one-time thing, and then maybe a percentage. Maybe I don't know how that part
I
gets.
doubt. I don't even think they probably give them much of a percentage.
So it might
'Cause I
be just
wanna
the
say
one
that-
up front.
Yeah, Microsoft's probably relying on all of that subscription revenue coming in. So they might like say, hey, you get this big upfront chunk of money, which is guaranteed, and maybe they might have like escalators. Like, hey, if X amount of people like download the game, you hit like this next payment tier. Like maybe you get like an extra 5 million or whatever. Kind of like football contracts. Like, hey, you throw for 4,000 yards, you get this now instead of what you were at. But so it could be something like that, and maybe they might also divvy up microtransactions or something if it's that type of game. Like, hey, we take maybe 70%, you guys get 30% of all the microtransactions that come in, something like that. But I don't think they divvy up any of the subscription money just because you have so many people on the platform, on the membership or whatever you want to call it. I just feel like you would end up eating into any and all your profits, like constantly giving it out to everybody who's just sitting on Game Pass for, at least a year. They're going to sit on there. So, but yeah, I mean, and then you think about it, like when those games don't land, like you're going to have a downtime because most time when you release a big game, like you don't have another big game come out for like at least another 4 to 5 months. So it's not bad when that big game is out there churning and people are playing it and enjoying it. Don't feel like 4 to 5 months to the next game. But when that game comes out and people are like, yo, what? And it's like, oh, now it's a hole. And it's like, what's X? We don't have, it's going to be like 4 or 5 months. So then if that game drops, then you're like, oh, God, y'all haven't had a game all year. And it's like, yes, we have. We did have games. So it just kind of sucks for them.
It's kind of funny because they got rid of the Xbox Live like Gold and all of that stuff. So they're like, there are too many different like subscription things we got going on. We just want to have Xbox Game Pass and then Game Pass Ultimate and just make that's pretty much it, guys. That's all we want. So now they're splintering off with all these deals, finding a way to increase their pricing. Do you feel like they will be able to come back and grab titles in the future, or do you think that people are not going to gravitate to this at all, and it's like people will subscribe but it's not going to be what they're looking for?
I don't see people subscribing at the lower tiers. Like, I don't really see that because the lower tiers kind of start to defeat the purpose of Game Pass. Like Game Pass, the whole purpose of Game Pass was that we get the day one releases for free with Game Pass. Like that was the seller, was that, when Forza come out, when Gears come out, when Halo come out, when, now Call of Duty come out, you're going to get it day one. No extra money. Like it's just boom. That's the power of Xbox. Like that's what it's like playing on Xbox. You might pay $70 over here for Ratchet and Clank. You don't pay that over here. Like, that was supposed to be what sold you. So the more you go away from that and start to pull away from that promise, people is going to be like, well, I don't really want to buy it for like the old Xbox library. Like, I'm not interested in that. I want the free games. I definitely don't want to pay a subscription and then have to pay $60, $70 for the games. Maybe they might try to give you some type of discount. Like, instead of $70 for Black Ops or whatever, maybe you get it for like 30. Because you used to be able to do that with they might still do it. But I know if you're a Game Pass subscriber, like if you wanted to buy a game on the Microsoft Store that was part of Game Pass,
yeah, they do it now.
you got it. Yeah, you get it at a discount. You don't pay the full price. So they might do that as well and just be like, yeah, you don't get it day one for free, but maybe you get it for half off or something like that. That might do something, but again, I feel like just introducing all these different tiers and all these different like levels of it just starts to get confusing, and people just start to get turned off because they're like, it's too much going on with all that. Like, I don't want to deal with all that, and they're already like struggling. Like when you're struggling, the last thing you want to do is muddy up the waters. Like you want to be clear and concise with your plan of what you're trying to do. When you start doing all this confusing stuff and you're already not selling, like people are just gonna tune it out because they're like, oh man, I don't know what they're doing over there. Like they're doing, I don't know what they're doing. I don't even care. Like, and boom, they're gonna just disregard what you got going on.
Yeah, I'm about to say I'll take what Gaines was talking about earlier. I'm assuming they probably just looked at the PlayStation model because they have the weird setup too. PlayStation Plus has the 3 tiers of whatever, but they probably were like, oh, they're
selling.
Yeah, but they're probably like, oh, they're doing it, so we can kind of do something similar too.
That's my point with Microsoft. Yeah. They don't know what to do. Like anytime they see something, they see other people succeed, they try to do it, but they always fail.
I was about to say we've seen that failure before with. I remember HBO with the streaming service. There was like HBO Now, HBO Go, and I don't even remember the other ones. And I couldn't tell you what came with any of them, but. And that's the problem there. Like I said, it gets confusion. People may drop down to the lower tier. I doubt it, but it's more just a headache. So you probably keep the people that's already kind of bought in. I'm assuming Gaines is still probably in, but I'm keeping the tier. Yeah, so
whoever GeForce Now, I wouldn't have a Game Pass subscription.
Well, that's like I play a lot of them on PC, so it's like that's the advantage, but. Yeah, so we're locked in already. So, but like getting a new person in there, it is like, oh, what tier do I get? And am I going to play on my Xbox? Am I going to just play on my PC? Do I need
my Xbox
both?
Haven't been turned on in probably since we played Power.
Mine's the TV console, so that's the only reason it turns on every now and then.
Yeah. Well, my Series S is the emulator console. So other than that. That didn't really count because I don't turn it on to play anything Xbox. So, but besides that, no. Like, it's really no reason to turn on Xbox. And don't forget the Microsoft handhelds coming out, Roger.
Oh yeah,
because Steam had success with the Steam Deck, so Microsoft immediately ran to go build a handheld. Out of the blue, they just made one, so it's gonna be trash.
I just hope it's a Microsoft handheld. Like it just gets branded Microsoft and has Windows.
They probably bought somebody else's. Like somebody else had one in the pipeline and they just went and bought it and rebranded it. And they're going to try to pull it out as Microsoft because there's no way they made one that quick. You think about how long R&D and all that stuff takes and everything, and they just all of a sudden they have one within like 2 years.
No, they're trying some new early access hardware. That's what they're going to do.
I think it's so bad.
That's terrible.
They may have had this in the line for a long time. Maybe they had it to link with the Kinect, but after the Kinect got shit on so bad, they had to can it. Now they're bringing it back out the grave.
Just like this stupid Kinect, they had that in the pipeline right after the Wii nunchucks came out. At least PlayStation knew it. PlayStation never buys all the way in. They're just making an accessory.
Yeah. They just had to move.
Yeah, they just made the move.
Yeah.
They were just like, let's see what happens with it. And Microsoft was like, no, make the Kinect bundle with the Xbox One and they can't buy it without it. It was just like, no,
so
don't do that.
So
Don't do that.
Good old Microsoft. I'm glad we got that out. There, Pokemon ZA or Pokemon ZA. Zeta Alpha? What are we supposed to call this? I don't know what it's called.
Alpha or something.
Oh, okay.
I
just saw ZA.
That's Zaza. Pokemon coming out with that fire.
think
Tell
it's
us,
pretty much
Terry.
just
Tell us about it.
about it.
I don't know anything about it.
So I
don't know anything
believe
about it
this
either.
has a GTA 6 type deal. They were talking about they were kind of waiting for the Switch 2 to be announced before they announced that. I guess that's supposed to be one of like the premier titles that will come out right after. I think I saw Q1 2025 is what their like the rumor
That's
mill
when the
says
Switch 2 is
is
supposed
coming
to.
out.
Yeah.
So with that being said, Terry, do you feel like now that Power World has come out and with like the wild success that had in that moment in time, that if the Pokemon, like, do you think that puts any stress on the developer to even like try? I guess for lack of better terms,
Do you
it
know
seems
who you're
lately
talking
they haven't really tried. I don't know. That's
They're about
outside
to give
looking at.
y'all.
You
They're about
know.
to give y'all 9 frame per second fans in the background.
Like,
Oh, that was the last one, wasn't it? Where like the frames were just like
Yep.
terrible,
Scarlet,
and
It was
yeah.
single digit
screen
frame rate.
tearing, and oh god.
Yeah. It's so
it's not gonna do
like
anything.
hotcakes.
They might, but I mean, if there's no game announced for this season, which I don't think there is, because we would have seen it by now. Yeah,
Might be something crazy though, Terry. They're rumored that the Switch 2 is going to be a dual screen.
Ooh,
sounds
That's what
terrible.
they're rumoring. That's what
Terrible
they're
already.
rumoring.
a fold.
Will it matter?
Could be back to the old clamshell design that they did with the Game Boy Advance SP.
I guess it
That was one of
depends
my
on
favorite ones.
how far into development they were when they saw Power World. Also, it requires Game Freak to acknowledge Power World, and if it does, then
Well,
you know,
they probably won't though. They probably just say it was the next evolution of Arceus or whatever it's called.
I mean, it's in the same. It's along those line of games. It is a Legend game, so
That's what I mean. They'll probably just say it's like the next evolution of that and completely just disregard Power World.
oh no, they
Terry,
have
please,
already disregarded Power World.
could you inform those viewers, not me, but anyone who may not have made it out of the Kanto region, what do you mean by the legend line? Like what is that?
Well,
Again,
first
for
off,
those viewers who don't know.
how dare
I don't know
anybody
either,
make it out of
Keith.
the Legends, like out of the Kanto region? What? How terrible are you? Like what? What?
Did you just mean like the legendary Pokemon?
No. So they
No,
made
what was a legend line game mean? I
yeah,
suppose. Is it-
it's the Pokemon Arceus thing. They pretty much built on Let's Go, and then from Let's Go they continued on with the whole like overworld kind of aspect of things. I think they didn't really do it that much. They did it in Scarlet and Violet, and they
Oh,
did
you
it
mean
in,
just that the Pokemon spawned out in the world?
yeah. I mean, they
That was
kept
my
going
favorite part of Let's Go.
that kind of game style, but
Mhm.
the Legends side is pretty much expansion of it. Now it's kind of like what it was. Legend of Arceus started off the story based in super old times when the first Pokeball was made and stuff like that, and then they just expanded onto that.
Explains the frame rate.
Frame rate was bad. It was fine in Arceus.
Yeah, I was about to say that one
Trash.
was.
Oh wait, which one was a bad one?
Scarlet and
Scarlet and
Scarlet
Violet.
Violet.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Scarlet and Violet was disgusting.
Yeah, the people in the classroom, they was like,
Mm-hmm. I can't speak. It
it was
was
a
bad.
robot.
Yeah,
Terry
I
was
was-
like, $70.
Yeah.
I don't even think I finished Scarlet or Violet, whichever one I got.
I didn't at all. I couldn't get over it. I think I rode on a Pokemon and then frames dropped, and I was like, I don't like this.
Yeah, I just got to the point where I was just like, I'm not playing this anymore. But
Yeah, for your question, Keith, I would say with Pokemon games, I don't expect them to re-innovate much. They shock me when they do, but I feel like we're just going to get a Pokemon game at the end of the day, and they might take lessons from Scarlet and them, but maybe they can actually do what they were planning on doing with the Switch too. Because I know obviously they pushed the limit of the Switch trying to make that Pokemon game. I don't know if it runs better today or if it's still bad, but
it's still bad. And they
Okay,
pushed
it's
the
still
limit of
bad.
the Switch with freaking Sword and Shield.
yeah, so I don't expect them to do anything crazy or let alone anything Power World. Like we were talking about, maybe the Legends series, they may dive into that a little bit more. But yeah, any mainstream Pokemon, I expect gyms and become the greatest. That's pretty much the story, and that's all I expect.
Gyms. Well, gyms in quotation marks.
In quotation.
I mean, they got away from the whole like linear story. It was more of like go around, do what you want. Just know if you go into these areas, you're gonna run into Pokemon that are probably higher level than you should be, but you can still venture to them. Like you can still go there, and you can still enjoy yourself if you wanted to. But just know you're probably gonna run into somebody that's like level 50, level 60, and your Pokemon are probably gonna be dumb low. But you can go if you want.
Yeah, need be in there scrambling and scraping.
So there is no storyline or like quests at all. You just are in the open world just to battle.
In Violet or in Legends?
Both.
In Legends, no, there's storylines in both. It's just not as linear. And Legends is a little bit more linear of like, okay, go here, do this mission. All right, cool. Now go do like 10 other missions real quick, and then we'll progress your storyline. And then in Scarlet and Violet, it was more so like as you beat, what were the bosses? There was like super big bosses that you go do, or if you go free, what was it? Team Star? Is Team Star the villain?
I don't remember. I can't remember.
Yeah. Team Star is pretty much delinquents that decided that they were outcast from the academy. And they're like, oh, we only left because of this person. But if you beat us, we'll come back and we'll be reformed. Now that I think about it, that storyline was trash.
It's Pokemon there. It's always bad.
What do you mean? You're a 10-year-old kid that can save the world.
Exactly.
What's wrong with that? You leave the house at 10 years old and view the world and save it. Actually, that makes me want to go play Mega Man now. Exact same kind of thing. I think about it. Now I gotta go play Mega Man.
I think we lost Keith.
Yeah, we did. All right, cool. Send us off games.
We lose Keith literally every podcast.
Brought to you by Breezeline.
Or Breezeline internet can't keep going.
Nope, can't do it. All right, games. Send us off. I think that was.
It's game recommendation.
Recommendations.
Roger Terry, what is our game recommendations?
The
Roger,
Quidditch
starting
game
with
from
you.
Hogwarts. There you go.
Oh, wait. Quidditch from okay.
The Quidditch game on that. What is it called? I was just playing it the other day.
It was Quidditch. Yeah. Just say that.
Yeah, Quidditch Champions. That's what it's called.
Say that.
Quidditch.
All right, Roger,
Champions.
what's your recommendation?
I will go with Expeditions, a Mud Runner game on Game Pass. It is a very calm, stressful game. You drive around.
Big plucky squire.
I haven't played it yet. I wanted to, but I'll be honest, it came out today and I haven't played it, so I felt I couldn't just recommend it.
Good job. Good man.
Next podcast, I'll recommend it. But this one,
you're a man of integrity, I see.
Expeditions, you just drive and get stuck and enjoy yourself and struggle.
I will be recommending Astrobot on the PS5. Pretty good game. Definitely worth play.
There's their video that is on the channel.
I did do a video on it. It's actually it's definitely worth the play if you haven't played it. This is coming from someone who didn't play the demo or the tech demo, so I can recommend Astrobot. And Keith has come back to life.
Yes,
gotta love that breeze line.
Customer service, amazing.
What's your recommended game, Keith?
On to me. My recommended game is Persona 3 Reload on Game Pass. If you have it, if not, it is available on Steam, on PlayStation. Amazing Persona game. It's a Persona game that got me into the Persona series. So check out Persona 3 Reload on Game Pass or on any major platform.
After he trashed Game Pass,
someone pull up the receipts because I'm pretty sure he was trashing Game Pass.
Yeah, I know.
I was.
Someone get the receipts.
He's a low key $20 a month over there.
Oh no, I got it until 2026.
Yeah,
Then
you
it is
forgot.
done.
He discount, man.
Oh, he was credit card scamming.
Is that what it was?
He did that Chase credit card scam.
Got that negative 50 grand over there.
All right, Keith, you can send us off now that you're back before
Well-
Freeze Mind goes back to sleep.
Well, thank you all for tuning into this one. Make sure you guys hit that notification button and that subscription button to keep in touch with us. And as usual, we hope you all be easy, stay blessed, peace.
Peace.
Oh, and there you go.